Hi, and welcome to the Sites Family Homestead. Today I want to talk about getting the homestead ready for winter, specifically the winter of 2020, but it works for almost every other year as well. I've broken this up into a few different segments because it can be kind of a daunting task, and today what we're going to focus on is the outside animals or livestock. In our case, we only have chickens and rabbits to worry about this time of year, and only our laying hens. So I'd start with the chickens because that seems to be the most common for folks. The first and biggest concern throughout winter is always water. Where we live, water does tend to freeze 3 out of 4 days of the week. Most of our water is frozen outside right now, even our big IBC totes. A few ways to combat that. We have heated waterers that work pretty well when it's very cold. But then you do always have the extension cords running around. There is the option that we've used in the past of rubber bowls, feed bowls that you can get from Tractor Supply or Rural King. And they're pretty good because when you just get a thin layer of crust on the top, you can go out, knock that off, and you've got some fresh water. And then also tank heaters for the bigger tanks. We have one now that is specifically for a small tank, but all I need to do is get it down by the valve on the IBC tote so that that'll stay free. After we have the water completed, we obviously have to worry about feeding the animals. So we've got a few different kinds of feed that we go through for our chickens. The first and most common that we always have available, we do free feed, is just a regular layer feed, and we try to get about 6 months worth of that stocked up going into winter, and then obviously again 6 months throughout summer. It just makes things easier from a purchasing perspective, and we do get a better deal that way. So for our hens, we have about 30 chickens, 3 roosters, and 27 hens, right thereabouts. It's a number that changes a lot, but we will go through 18 bags in 6 months. So we call up our local feed store, he gets them ready, we go and pick them up. We have found a local place that gives us a good deal on an organic crumble. There's a lot less waste and a lot less mess than we used to have with the Tractor Supply brands and Rural King brands, things like that. Nothing wrong with them, just we found a better solution after about 6 months. In the winter, I do supplement their feed with cracked corn. If you know a lot about chickens, what they do when they eat corn is they tend to get really hot. They build up a lot of heat digesting that. It's not a good thing in the summer, but in the winter, I'll give our flock probably 2 or 3 cups. I just throw it out on the ground, and they will take advantage of that throughout the day. I do it really just because it helps heat it, and it's a nice treat for them. Gives them something to scratch and something to do because they're doing a lot less of that this time of year. We do occasionally give some mealworms. My wife tends to buy more of those than I do, but they're a nice treat for the chicken, and that kind of rolls into kitchen scraps. So when we do cooking, all of the things that the chickens can eat, we put out there for them to eat. Or if I'm making breakfast and not using the whole eggs and only using the egg whites, I will give them all the yolks. It's great protein for them, and what it does is it really helps kind of mitigate the highs and lows that you get with eggs throughout the year. Not just production, but quality of eggs. So the eggs that we get in the summer are significantly nicer. They've got those really nice, rich yolks, where in the winter, they have kind of a paler, more like a store-bought looking yolk. But those are some of the things we stock up for on the chickens. In another video, we're going to go out, we're going to take a look at the coop and see some of the other things that we do to prepare for winter, and just how our coop is set up. But with chickens, once they're fed, we still do have to worry about bedding. Bedding for all the animals we use around here is straw. The chickens specifically will go through about 1 bale every 10 days. We kind of fluctuate between a deep litter and cleaning it out, depending on how bad it gets out there. But as soon as we clean it out, we put it in the compost pile. And one thing to think about with chicken manure is that it is a hot manure. That means that it cannot go into the garden until it is composted. So we let that sit over winter, and it's great for the garden. So the other animal, like I said, we have outside is rabbits for meat. They have the exact same water concerns, except that I can't run cords into their colony. So we colony raise our rabbits. Again, that's in another video. But if I run a cord in there, they'll chew it, and I've spent $50 for nothing. They go through 10 bags of feed in this 6-month period, so they eat a lot less, but we still need to stock up on that. We add diatomaceous earth to their feed every week, just a little bit of it. It's supposed to help deworm them naturally. Some will say it doesn't work, some will say it does. We do it and it's not a big deal, but it is something of an expense. 1 bag a year. So there's $8 right there you can save if you don't want to do that. They do get some kitchen scraps as well. They eat the greens and some of the harder vegetables that the chickens don't like. They tend to like those a lot more. And if you see the large clumps of grass that are still sticking up through the snow, I'll pull those sometimes and feed them to the rabbits. They love it, and it's a great supplement to their diet. To keep their teeth short and so they're not chewing on the hutch and everything in the colony, we will go and get sticks that are just wind-blown sticks and put them in with them. And what they do is they love to peel all the bark around the sticks. It keeps their teeth sharp and short. And it's just a nice little treat for them. Even in the winter, they need hay and bedding as well, and they use it obviously to use a restroom, as well as if they dig tunnels in the colony or they pack some of their little houses with it, it helps keep them warm. A dry rabbit does not need any kind of heat. A wet rabbit will die. So keeping them dry and giving them places to stay dry is imperative. And when you take a look at the hutch, you'll understand kind of what we do out there. We give them open area, but we also have places that they can stay secluded. Their compost is like gold. So we take that once a week, once every other week, kind of depends on what I've got going on in my mood. And I will put that directly into the garden, and it doesn't need to compost, but this time of year it will still sit until spring. In the spring, if we have excess, we will sell rabbit manure. It is a fantastic manure. It's a complete manure. And for our houseplants, we actually have a little water in the house that has a few bits of manure in it, and that kind of forms a tea that's great for the plants inside. And so that kind of wraps up our outside animals this year. As we continue to expand and change what we have and what we do, that'll change, but that's a good idea for this year. So I thank you for watching. I ask that you like and subscribe and leave a comment down in the bottom. Thanks. Bye.